So this is the first of 5 vlogs. I've been challenged to do this by my long-arm supervisor for while I'm on this placement. So a bit of background information. I am a occupational therapy student in my second year. I am currently on my 3rd placement, which is a role emerging placement. So the purpose of a role emerging placement is to sort of put allied health professionals such as occupational therapists in facilities where there currently isn't occupational therapy input, just to see basically how we could carve a role in these areas. So at present I am at a sports facility located on the university site. So interesting first week. A lot of sort of finding my feet and sort of, I guess, problem solving, which is obviously a big part of what we do. So this week has been predominantly sort of doing a bit of background research and getting the evidence to support what I would like to do while I'm here. So obviously the sports facility isn't just all about physical fitness, it's a full health and wellbeing package here, so they do focus on mental health as well as physical health. So obviously there is a very, very broad spectrum in which occupational therapy can go. So many tangents it would be very, very easy to get lost off. So I have opted to go down the route of looking at the accessibility of the facility. So this isn't just a disabilities rights kind of decision. This is based on the university has a target to be the most active university in the UK. So by doing that, my thoughts are to target students who are currently sedentary. So individuals with a disability are twice, or actually more than twice, than likely to be inactive than those who do not. So when we talk about a disability, most people's minds go straight to sort of wheelchairs, limb difference, that kind of thing. We are also talking about sort of hearing and visual impairments as well. I mean, there is a whole spectrum in which we can address. So this is a 5-week placement, so it is very time limited. So I am having to be reasonably strict with myself about how I'm going about this. So following a supervision with my supervisor on Friday, the suggestion was made to do a weekly vlog. So here we go. This is my weekly vlog. And forgive me, I'm just scrolling down my Word document now so I can sort of go through what my thoughts are to date. So when we talk about inactivity, we're talking about people who just aren't moving, basically, and the benefits of moving are quite incredible. Obviously we already know this, so you know the recommended sort of activity that we should all be taking part in as a minimum per week is 150 minutes of moderate intensity or 75 minutes of vigorous intensity within a week. Now that's not a big ask, but we'll, you know, I'm certainly one of those people who probably falls short of that just due to life in general. So, you know, there are additional benefits to being physically active, not just obviously improved health as a physical well-being side of things, but Public Health England identify as having long-term effects on long-term educational attainment, as well as increased energy levels, and it's also identified to boost workplace productivity and reduce sickness. And in regards to health benefits, you know, people are 35% lower risk of coronary heart disease and stroke, 50% less likely to develop type 2 diabetes, 30% lower risk of an early death. You know, it goes on and on and on. And in regards to mental health, you know, you are 30% less likely to develop depression, and the same again for dementia. So by that matter, by the fact that people are twice as likely to be inactive because of a disability, I feel like that is a solid target audience for me to focus my attentions on while I'm here. So going through the barriers that other researchers identified, obviously very time limited. I have sort of sent out questionnaires and stuff, but it is very much on people's goodwill, should we say, to give feedback on that front. And with it being the summer holidays now, a lot of students aren't on campus, so actually accessing that database is quite difficult at this time. So based on other research that has been completed, I've sort of narrowed it down to sort of the top 5, shall we say, barriers that are identified for people with disabilities accessing health and fitness. So first off the bat is the individual's perception of their disability and how it limits them. So, you know, again, I'm sure we're all guilty of that somewhere along the line. Second is the individual's perception of their mobility aids, so whether that's a wheelchair or a supporting aid, being too big or bulky or cumbersome, and that it will get in the way and that they'll be unable to use equipment or access the environment due to that equipment. We've also got a fear of overdoing it, so for people who have got physical disabilities, the fear of causing themselves more pain thereafter, muscle tightness, potentially, you know, sprains, whatever. Fourth on the list is the age-old barrier that I think we've all said at some point of, I don't have enough time to dedicate to going and doing a separate workout. And fifth on the list is social interaction or a lack thereof, so people feeling isolated and feeling as if they're being judged in a gym environment by others who are perhaps more stereotypical of that environment. So people who, you know, do work out on the regular are very conscientious about their physical well-being, and are clearly, you know, people who spend a lot of time in the facilities. So the university has brought in access to a app which is called My Wellness, and this is a platform on which people can access, at the moment they have a booking system obviously in light of the coronavirus, so it's an app where people can book time slots to access the gym, but there is also material on there for sort of workouts, and it's a platform for delivering sessions of all varieties. So there's been some discussion about delivering mental health sessions on there, sort of guidance on meditation and sleep, which are obviously very important as well. So, you know, it's a very useful tool to have, and it's my hope to utilise that tool quite a lot. Obviously with students being off campus at the present time, for me to do anything with sort of a measurable outcome during my placement, digital platform is going to be the way forward. So my first thought regarding this is, obviously we have this expectation that everybody is able to use apps and computer programs and everything else these days, because it's a fairly standard thing. However, we are not all au fait with these programs, so my first thought is to create a guide for the app, sort of advising how to set up an account, how to access it, and where various materials will be. Obviously this is limited because I can't cover everything, but hopefully it will give a good start off whereby people will feel comfortable to investigate the rest of the app of their own fruition. So I would like to do this as a YouTube video with closed captions and audio descriptive. However, it could also be done as a PowerPoint presentation, or in fact a Word document that could be sent out to people, so that people have a paper copy if they're really not very au fait with technology as a general rule. Second to that, I would like to create some content for the My Wellness app. So referring back to the barrier of people thinking that their wheelchairs or, you know, limb difference or anything like that is going to be a barrier to them accessing gym facilities. I would like to do a series of videos demonstrating how various bits of equipment are accessible in various ways for both people with wheelchairs, limb difference, visual impairments, hearing impairments, whatever, whereby people have an idea before they come what is available to them, and hopefully by removing some of that sort of preconceived ideas of nothing's going to be accessible or there's going to be very limited accessibility, people will sort of see that there is more available and be more willing to come in on that front. I would also quite like that to be the content for the My Wellness app to be made available on the likes of YouTube, whereby it can be shared on Facebook, Twitter, all the social media platforms, again increasing that number of people seeing it, so it's not just limited to the My Wellness app. In regards to people having fears of overdoing it, pacing is a really, really important part of anybody's fitness journey. You know, you're not going to jump up and run a marathon straight from your sofa after being sedent for, you know, the last 5 years or so. It takes time and your body will need to adjust. So advice regarding pacing I think is incredibly important. So again, I would like that to be a video content. Again, there can be obviously flyers, leaflets, information that can be, you know, printed on paper for people to take home, or to be made available wherever it's needed to be made available, whereby, you know, people have an understanding of how their bodies are going to respond, and how to pace according to their abilities. Further content for the My Wellness app, I would like to show almost a mock-up, shall we say, of a workout for, very stereotypically, someone in a wheelchair, whereby, you know, we have somebody come in and actually demonstrate it from a wheelchair perspective. Now that is very much dependent on whether I can get somebody on board who is a wheelchair user to come in and go through those exercises, and is happy for that to be videoed and used as content. So that is a pending potential outcome. I would also like to explore the potential for volunteer support through the university. So the university has the Centre for Volunteering and Community Leadership. So some feedback that I've received so far has been from an individual who is visually impaired, and they do not feel that they are able to access the gym without that level of one-to-one support, sort of guiding them from one piece of equipment to the other, and helping them set up the equipment for their use. Now, this is obviously sort of outside of the gym's capabilities. Obviously they have limited staffing, so I've had feedback regarding the Centre for Volunteering and Community Leadership, whereby they've had people volunteer in the past who are BSL fluent, who've come in and sort of worked alongside people as interpreters, but it's almost like a buddy up system really that I'm wanting to develop. So people who are perhaps already accessing the gym, who, you know, people could team up with and come as a duo sort of thing. So whilst they are, you know, supporting somebody to get from one place to another and to set up their equipment, they can also be doing their workout at the same time. Obviously this is something that's a goodwill gesture again, so that is very much a pending outcome. I'm just trying to think if I've missed anything else. And no, I think that's pretty much it. So like I said, that's week 1 complete. So I've got 4 weeks to address the rest of this. So fingers crossed it all goes tickety-boo. So yeah, and that's my first week signing off. All right, thanks folks.